Hi everyone. In case you haven't seen it yet, Asymmetrical Preparedness is having an SHTF scenario challenge, and he wants video responses from subscribers, or I imagine you don't have to be a subscriber, but if you're not a subscriber to his channel, check it out and you'll want to be. So he wants to know why we prep, what we believe are the shit hit the fan scenario will be. He wants to know what we believe is most likely, what we believe is crazy unlikely, and also what we prep for that would be the most challenging for us as well. So this is my response. I actually gave this a lot of consideration, and it was amazing that the first things that popped into my head kind of stayed the same, even though I, actually discussed this with my husband on our way to the store. So, the thing that we prep for, that we believe is most likely to happen, is something that did happen. I have been unemployed since October of 2017. I was injured at work 2 months prior to that. I continued to work for a month, and then I was unable to work. So I had regular sickness benefits for 6 months, and then through our union, I had paid for both short and long-term disability benefits. So then after my regular sickness benefits ran out, I had 6 months of short-term disability benefits. And then currently I'm still on my long-term disability benefits, but those will end in 2020, mid to late 2020, those will end. So the most likely thing for us that we've always prepped for is our job was always touch and go as it was. What I mean to say is they spend a fortune to train you and then spend every day of your career trying to fire you. And if anybody knows what industry I'm talking about, well, okay. So my most likely thing that I prep for is job loss. And my husband's answer to that was, he's not going to make his own video, but so his was natural disasters. And he, if there's anything of that sort, hurricanes, I guess it would be loss of power, tornado. And if you look at this right here, Pennsylvania doesn't generally have earthquakes, but we did. There was a 2.2 magnitude tremor, and y'all out there in California can just stop laughing. You're saying it was only a 2.2 tremor, but since it was in Washington, Pennsylvania, that's nothing to sneeze at. So it was pretty much where this A is. Actually, they said it was 6 miles southwest. So it was over here. But the Geological Service actually said that it was felt all the way down here in Rice's Landing. And I didn't feel it, and I'm over in this area right here. So there's earthquakes within 30 miles of me now. And we kind of felt that that was because of all the fracking that they've done in the area in the past few years. So that is that. So the crazy, where am I now here? Oh, sorry, I was looking at something else. The crazy unlikely thing that we believe, mine was for a silly zombie invasion similar to The Walking Dead. And when I said that, my husband chuckled because he had just read an article online that said that the chronic wasting disease that deer get, that they've called a zombie deer disease, is they believe it can be transferred to humans. And my husband was really concerned over that, and I told him that there are a lot of other zoonotic diseases that can be, transmitted between humans and animals. So while that does concern me, that I wouldn't want that, it's just one of a myriad of things that can be transferred from animals. So my crazy unlikely thing that we prep for would be a zombie apocalypse. And it's kind of funny, to watch the show and realize that ultimately it's just another thing to prepare for. So my husband's crazy unlikely thing that he preps for, that he thinks is not likely to happen, is an invasion. And he was sure to specify not the current invasion that some people think we're undergoing now, but his was an armed invasion of the United States by another country. He believes that that will not happen because he believes, and rightfully so, I imagine, that most other countries realize that Americans are heavily armed, and there are so many weapons in the private sector that Americans more than likely would not tolerate being invaded by a foreign country. So that was our crazy unlikely scenario. Now, our most challenging one, we weren't real. I chose mine immediately, and I waited to see what he thought his would be, and he thought on that for a while, and he said, that the most challenging thing that he thought would be pretty much the loss of a job, because he's such a great provider. He works 70 hours a week, and he just probably couldn't imagine not having the job. However, he did change his mind when I suggested to him I told him what mine was, and then he kind of thought that his might be the same. And I pray for a pre-tribulation rapture, but we went out to lunch a while back with two of our pastors. They were a married couple, and they were both pastors. And it was very interesting. The discussion we had was whether they were pre, mid, or post-tribulation rapturists. And even though they were married, they disagreed. And I can only pray that we would be taken out of this world as Christians before the tribulation begins. If we are mid-tribulation, then those would be the most challenging 3.5 years of my life. To know that not only would Satanism be accepted and nastiness and cruelty accepted pretty much as it is now, but that it would be exalted, and that believing in Christ would be enough to get you killed. And I'm going to digress here for a moment. I remember years ago when my children were small, I explained to them the tribulation. And one of the things that I said is, I don't care who it is, you never deny Christ. You never deny him, because he will never deny you. And if somebody says, if you don't stop believing in Jesus, I'm going to chop your mother's head off, I said, you let them. You let them do that to me. You let them do it to your father or your brother or your friend or your dog. Because 5 seconds after that happens to me, I'm going to be happy, because I'm going to be in heaven with our Father. So I know I digressed there. And then after we discussed that, my husband did say that, yeah, that would be the most challenging thing that he could prep for, would be knowing that we couldn't go fill up with gasoline because we would never accept a mark. We couldn't buy food. And just our neighbor knowing that we had food, knowing we were Christians, they would probably turn us in just to get what we have, or just because they were envious of what we had. So would be the most challenging thing for my husband and myself, would be if the rapture happens post or mid-trib, as opposed to pre-tribulation, and if it happens in our lifetime. And even if we die prior to that, one of our hugest concerns would obviously be our children or grandchildren going through that, and that they would make the right decisions in life to make sure that they always had life. Alrighty, and that's it. I hope my video response to asymmetrical preparedness provokes some thought. And if you aren't subscribed to Asymmetrical Preparedness, go check out his channel over here. See, Asymmetrical Preparedness, that's him right there. And get subscribed and send him out a video response. And if you're not subscribed to me, Pennsylvania Prepper, well then, why don't you do that? I'd appreciate it. And, okay, everybody, be blessed.